Do you want to know the truth about meal prep? It can feel really challenging to get started, overwhelming even, but you're not alone. Welcome to the Meal Prep Perspective, where we make foods we love while prioritizing nutrient-dense ingredients, balancing macronutrients and micronutrients, and we explore global cuisines to appreciate and honor the cultures these foods come from. We save time, money, and reduce our decision fatigue week after week, month after month, year after year. I'm so happy you're here, whether you're new to my channel or you've been with me for a bit. Hi, I'm Lisa, a New Yorker who works in the health and fitness industry. I fuel my active lifestyle through nutrient-dense, high-protein meal prep and without the constraints of food rules. Living in the hustle and bustle of NYC, I found meal prep provides the clarity I need to focus on what matters to me, helping people establish health-promoting behaviors. I love empowering others through preventative health practices that make a big impact and lead to improved health outcomes. Okay, enough about me. Let's get into what I'm meal prepping and the process I'm following. I'm starting it off with a new breakfast idea, which I'm calling Protein Mango Cobbler. I'll begin with spraying my glass meal prep containers with some coconut spray, and then I'll add in some frozen mango. I use a lot of frozen produce and love using frozen fruit, especially since the cost of fresh fruit can be extremely expensive. Also, I love that it's already pre-cut, washed, and ready to use. I'll sprinkle some chia seeds on top of the mango and then get started on my cobbler topping, which is where the protein really comes in. When I make this again, I'll do some things differently so the topping comes together a bit easier, and that's what cooking and meal prepping really means to me. It's growing and evolving and making notes to improve next time. To make the topping, I'm using raw almonds, sunflower seeds, peanut butter, honey, egg whites, and rolled oats. In the video, I'm combining everything into the blender, starting with the oats, but if I were making this again, I would add all the wet ingredients, the honey, egg whites, and peanut butter into the blender. Then I'd add in the almonds and sunflower seeds. Then I would stir the oats in by hand. I'll still show you the process I followed this time, but it didn't come together exactly how I envisioned it. So please leave a comment if you had any ideas or feedback for me too, because I love learning from y'all. And instead of talking you through a process that I didn't love, I will use this time to tell you a little bit more about why I'm meal prep biased. I've seen the positive impact firsthand of so many people implementing meal prep into their lives. Finding the meal prep process that works is a bit of an adventure. For me, I found what works is preparing 5 days of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, and yep, I eat the same thing for 5 days in a row. I mix it up so much week to week, it doesn't feel boring or monotonous. I honestly never even think about it. And chances are you're watching this video because you're interested in improving your health and you're thinking meal prep can help. Maybe you aren't sure if it's going to be a good fit for you, or maybe you're watching for ideas and inspiration. Everyone's welcome here. Understanding what you want out of meal prep is a great place to start and evaluate as you go. If you are trying to improve your health and be healthier overall, it's critical to define what healthy means to you. To me, healthy means saving time, energy, and money to align with the life I'm creating. It means I'm not counting calories using an app or obsessing over every bite of food I consume. I've done those things and they aren't helpful for me because they weren't sustainable. It means I'm fueling my lifestyle by eating foods I genuinely enjoy while keeping in mind my fitness goals require adequate protein and fiber intake. Most of my meals have lots of nutrient-dense ingredients and are diverse in color and texture. I love cooking all my meals on one day of the week because I definitely don't have the energy to cook the meals I want to eat every day, let alone clean up the kitchen after cooking. Also, I genuinely enjoy cooking, although sometimes it definitely feels like a chore. I've made my peace with it because for me, the benefits outweigh all the costs. Remember, meal prep has to fit you and your lifestyle and not the other way around. Okay, now I'm jumping back to what I'm doing on the video. So I'm sure you noticed that I had to also add some maple syrup and some Fairlife milk for this cobbler topping to really come together. I'll spread it evenly on top of the mangoes and chia seeds, and then I'll bake them in the oven. I'll also show you how I serve them for breakfast. I added a dollop of Greek yogurt on top to up my protein intake a bit more, and this was really such a delicious topping. Definitely add a drizzle of honey if you feel like you might like that better. You don't want all the tang of the yogurt, but double thumbs up for me, and a sip of coffee paired with it too. I am such a coffee girl, so this is always one of my favorite moments of the day. I also paired this with an express egg topped with hot sauce, which is a really easy way to add a savory element to breakfast. Alright, now I'm moving on to my dinner meal. I'm using my veggie chopper to make my life so much easier and for this to go so much faster. I'm dicing my sweet potatoes and I'm going to use them with the chopper, so I'll slice them into coins so they'll be in like a nice square dice. I'll also note here that I have to close the lid pretty hard for these, which usually turns into a slam my fist moment. so I can be sure it's cutting through all the way and nothing gets stuck. And really, it's not that I couldn't chop all of this by hand. I couldn't do this by hand, but it just makes it so much faster. I honestly don't know why I waited so long to get one of these. So learn this lesson from me now. Get one of these, make your life easier. And no, this is not a sponsored item. So I bought this, I paid for this myself. If you want the one I use, you can use my affiliate link on Amazon, but I just love this thing. So once my sweet potatoes dice, I'll move on to my onions. This goes so fast too. I'll dice one of these. I have these giant onions. I'm going to dice one of them in the chopper because I'm going to use one for dinner and the other one I'm going to use for lunch. So I don't want the second onion diced as small, so I'll do that one by hand, but this one I'm going to do in the chopper. All right, now it's time for my dinner meal. I'm using my Instant Pot and I'll heat it up on the saute function to start, and I'll add some olive oil in here too. I'm using these pre-made sauces for tikka masala. That's what I'm making for dinner. And I feel like these are really good. Definitely not as spicy as I prefer, but I love pre-made sauces as a great option for when you're limited on time. So I'll saute my onion. Then once that's got some caramel color, I'll add in some tomato paste. There's a lot of steam. Then I'll add in my sauces and some water too. Since I'm using the Instant Pot, I want this to be a little bit soupier, so I'll add quite a bit of water. I'm also adding in some chicken, and I almost recorded myself adding it in with one hand and like dumping it in, but I decided that was going to make a tremendous mess, so I added it in off camera. Washed my hands, then I added in some diced sweet potatoes, and of course had to sprinkle in some cayenne to kick it up a notch. I'll add the lid here, and we're cooking on high pressure for 40 minutes. I'm also always really cautious about pointedly moving the Instant Pot so the steam and vent area isn't underneath my cabinet. I do not want that under there. And then I'll start my white rice as well in my rice cooker. And then I'll get started on my lunch meal. I diced chicken breast off camera, added it into this bowl, and into this bowl I'm also adding this Italian dressing. Any Italian dressing will do here, and I do really like this one though. I'll pour some out into the bowl, stir, and then add some more, stir again. I'll pour this directly onto my baking sheet that I prepped with parchment paper, and I'll spread it out evenly so it cooks really evenly, trying to keep in mind if any of the pieces are a little bit smaller, I'm going to move those toward the center, and any of the pieces that are a little bit larger, I'll try to keep those toward the outside edges of the sheet pan. This goes into the oven, and once it's in the oven, I sanitized my counter off camera. I'll use another sheet pan with parchment paper for those chopped onions I did earlier. I'll add some of the same dressing on the onions, stir them, and then add the remaining dressing to the sheet pan. I'll leave the bottle upside down for a few seconds so all of the dressing can drain to the bottom. This is a really good little tip. Then I'll pour my onions onto the sheet pan, add some frozen green beans, spread those out, and then this will all go into the oven. Coming out of the oven is going to be our breakfast meal, our mango cobbler, which ended up baking for a very long time to my memory, but we all know I didn't keep track. One day I'll get better about it and measuring and making more recipes, but for now, that is so far out of my bandwidth. I will do it I promise it will happen. Just when is the question. Once those are out and cooling, my rice is ready, so I'll add it into the bowls for dinner, portioning it out for my husband and myself. And next, my chicken tikka masala is ready, so I'll bring it onto the counter, but I need to break up the chicken still. Thankfully, it's so soft and tender, it's breaking up really easily by using the back of my spoon to press against the side of the pan. Some of the sweet potatoes get smushed here too, and that just adds to the rich, thick texture I'm going for. If you know me, you've probably already thought to yourself, wow, she didn't add very many veggies to this meal, but alas, I will add them now. I'll take a bag of shredded kale, which I accidentally opened upside down, which just meant that all of the large stalk pieces were at the top of the bag instead of the bottom. And while generally speaking, I like to use these large stalk pieces, I wouldn't like to add too many large pieces here and now because they aren't really gonna cook. They're really just getting mixed into this hot liquid. They'll get a little wilty, but for these pieces, they're so fibrous, I wouldn't want to put them into this. So I set them to the side and use them in a salad. I chopped them very finely, and this was the salad that I ate after I finished meal prepping. Now that the entire bag of kale is incorporated, I can call this meal complete and I'll portion it out into the containers. Once my chicken tikka masala is portioned out, my oven chicken is ready to come out of the oven and it's looking delicious, crispy, and ready to be portioned into my containers. Next, my green beans and onions are out of the oven and ready to be portioned out. I accidentally leaned into the sheet tray off camera and burned the HE double hockey sticks out of my elbow. Ouchie! But I ran it under cold water and it's healing now. Okay, y'all, that's a wrap on meal prep. Another week of ideas and inspiration for you to make your own. If only meal prep happened as fast as this video, but I'm so confident that cooking this way will make a positive change in your life and it'll be worth the time investment you're making. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you again next week.